We'll call this Committee of the Whole meeting to order on April 23rd, 2024 at 6:25 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to speak under public participation? Okay. For the record, there is no public participation this evening. We will start with item number 4, oath of office for the fire department, and we will start with Ashley Williams with promotion to captain.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Say aye.
I,
Your name,
Ashley Williams,
and repeat after me. Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of captain
to the office of captain
in the city of Lincoln,
in the city of Lincoln,
in the county of Logan,
in the county of Logan,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Illinois,
of the state of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of captain
of the office of captain
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir.
Next up is James Reed, promotion to lieutenant.
Please raise your right hand. Say aye.
I,
Your name,
James Reed,
and repeat after me. Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of lieutenant
to the office of lieutenant
in the city of Lincoln,
in the city of Lincoln,
in the county of Logan,
in the county of Logan,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Illinois,
of the state of Illinois.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of lieutenant
of the office of lieutenant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, James. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 5, Logan County Tourism Bureau, Alice Rote with the 2024 first quarter report. Alice?
Hi, everyone. We'll get started with the first quarter report. Hotel motel income was $34,928.18. This is down 5% from 2023 quarter one revenue. We still have our state grant that we receive each year for $39,000. They did end up doing a second round. We found out a little before Christmas, so that was the amount of $7,684, which brings us closer to what we received in fiscal year 2023. Digital marketing efforts continue. with radio spots, location targeted geofencing, Facebook and Instagram ads. Those spots have changed. We now focus in surrounding areas such as Peoria, Springfield, Bloomington, Decatur. But then we also target the I-55 corridor, mostly in the Chicago suburbs down to about Pontiac area. So we're just looking for more of those Route 66 tourists, but then also some of the larger cities around us for other events in the area. The depot and mill are official stops in the Route 66 passport, as we have been. We just renewed our contract for this coming year. We had 78 people with tourism-related inquiries in the first quarter. 13 of them were those with Route 66 passports. It's a pretty slow 3 months, which is typical around this time of year. I think April has already surpassed all of quarter one's numbers, which is actually much higher than we've seen in previous years. So April's been going really well, and we think this summer will be beat most of our records. The Mill Museum has reopened for the season. We are open Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 4 p.m. But if you ever want to get in outside of those hours, we're always happy to open by appointment as well. Financials are attached, balance as of March 31st, 2024. Any questions?
Ms. Rawls?
Now, I know that you've only worked for tourism while it's been at the depot downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that that facility is very conducive to having tourists come in? Do we have much people that come in on the train?
Yeah, we do get a lot of people that want to buy tickets, which we have signage up that we don't sell tickets, but some people, we have like 3 different signs that say we don't sell tickets before you get to our office, but before you get up to talk to us. But no, I think we do get, it's a great spot for people. It's right along Route 66. It's in the, it's right in the downtown area. So I think it's a great spot for tourists. We get a lot of compliments on the building. I mean, it's beautiful inside. So anyone that hasn't been in yet, please stop in. We're there 9 to 5, Mondays through Friday. But no, it's a beautiful spot. I think we get a lot of travelers and even people coming off the train or waiting for the trains. A lot of times Amtrak is not running on time. So we've had a lot of people even stop in and take their time to look around, even if that's not exactly the purpose that they're in there for. So no, it's a beautiful
So do
facility.
you get an opportunity to find out why people come to Lincoln? Are they coming to eat?
Yeah, we usually whenever
Shop
people
or-
pop in, we always ask, and we keep a visitor log so we can access any of these records. But we always make sure to ask where they're from and kind of the reason for their visit. I'd say probably about 80% of people are here. They're traveling Route 66, but we do have the occasional people they're just doing Abraham Lincoln history. They're just visiting town for the day, shopping, visiting some of our local restaurants and stores. So, but I'd say majority of the people that come in there are Route 66 travelers, and I think the passport is a big reason for that as well.
Mr. Conzo?
Thank you, Mayor. Alice, what did you say the hours are for the mill now?
Noon to 4, Tuesday through Saturday.
And out of curiosity, how many, because I noticed the wall of pens
Mm-hmm.
when I was in the building last week. Do you know how many different countries that we've got visitors from off the top of your head?
I don't know.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of pens on that wall.
I don't know off the top of my head. I would say I think we have probably every continent except Antarctica, but yeah, I was like, I don't know how many people coming from there or who are, from there. But North America, South America, Europe, Australia, Asia, I think Africa, every single one I think has multiple pens, not just 1 or 2 as well. So, yeah, it's been interesting. We even just last week we had a couple from Brazil, and the week before that we had it was 2 couples, but they were from Lincoln. They were from the United Kingdom, so they were wanting some Lincoln merchandise because they're from Lincoln, but in the UK. So that was pretty cool.
Very much. Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Rote? Okay,
All right, thank
thank you for coming in. Okay, next up is item number 6, request to permit the Lincoln Rail Splitter Antique Auto Club for cars and coffee. And we have Rob Harmon here. If Rob, you'd like to speak to the council?
I know you always want to know if we've talked to the businesses downtown, and so more I'm more here to answer your questions than to make any kind of statements. This has been a nice event for several years for the car club, I think downtown. So I hope you're all still in a mind to approve that. It's a pretty good event. Saturday mornings is kind of dead, and it's a nice way to have some traffic on the square.
Ms. McClellan?
I was wondering where people could go to get your schedule. I was looking online and I couldn't find a current schedule because I was looking we're trying to plan around your shows, so.
Well, we try not to publish it until this is an official event, until we get this approval. So we've got some other things that are in the works, but we're kind of need to wait for this to get, this is our biggest event and the most number of dates. So as soon as we get this officially, then the rest of those, and we'll have them on Facebook. I'll put together a flyer and take it to all the businesses on Kickapoo Street. And if you want me to drop some off here at the City Hall, I can sure do that too. The mayor's office, is that, or the
Clerk's office.
clerk's office?
Yep.
Okay, we can do that.
On the counter.
So do you have a website or just go to Facebook?
Facebook, we once upon a time did have a website, but we've lost the sign-ons and lost the interest in getting a new one set up. So Facebook seems to be pretty user-friendly, and everybody seems to go to Facebook.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bateman?
So, I see you have a Mustang shirt on.
Yes, sir.
The dealership where I work hosts the National Mustang Club every year. I think it's on a Sunday. I don't know if you might want to coordinate one of your coffees for the Saturday before that. You might end up with a lot more Mustangs that are in town that might drive up here for that.
Okay.
It's pretty big. We have to empty our dealership for, over 1,000 Mustangs each year, so.
Okay. Well, I just spent the last week doing Route 66 with a bunch of Mustangs across Missouri, so I'm all on board for all that. So they're actually over at Gazzardo's right now. Hopefully my dinner's not getting cold. So I will tell you, I did pass up a beer to come talk to you folks. So, but I appreciate the notice, and I think I know the dealer and the date, and I'll look into that.
Any other questions for Mr. Harmon? Okay. Place it on the consent agenda. Okay, we'll place it on the agenda for vote next week.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Hope you get over there to enjoy your dinner.
I'm on my way.
Okay, next up is item number 7, request a permit, Lincoln Park District, July 4th, Children's Parade. Consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay, the next item up is item number 8, Spirited Republic, early open time, Sunday, May 12th, 2024, and Bussy wrote with Spirited is here if you have any questions regarding the request. Essentially, and Bussy, keep me honest, there is a Mother's Day brunch that's going to take place, and it is a collaboration with Gazzardo's with the meal, and Spirited is asking if they can open up 1 hour early on that day to partner with that event. Mr. Parrott.
What's the partnership? So Gazzardo's is taking their middle room out and making all food stations up there. So they're losing a bunch of their seating, so the overflow seating is going to come over to our place too. Plus, we can use the patio and the parklet if it's nice. So we want to be open for anybody that wants a Bloody Mary or a mimosa or something like that. So it's going to be a kind of a whole trifecta thing.
Mr. Parrott?
Have we had any other requests from like-minded establishments for opening? I mean, do we have a precedent for this, or is this just?
This is the first request that I have.
Okay, thank you.
I have fielded.
I just wanted to be consistent. Yeah, we don't usually open early on Sunday. Usually it's noon, but with Gazzardo's and the great relationship we have with them, we want to fully be in with them on this one. So.
Ms. Rolfs?
So by open, does that mean you will be serving alcohol
Correct.
an hour before?
Yep, 10 o'clock.
Any other questions for Mr. Rote? Place it. Mr. Eimer?
We don't have to do anything about our ordinance or code, do we? Just
No, I looked at the ordinance when I received this request, and the ordinance states 11 a.m. and it granted no authority to the liquor commissioner to entertain this, which is why I brought this to the council for consideration. Okay. So,
Thank you very much.
Ms. McClellan?
We're not running afoul of any state laws or anything.
No, that's left up to the municipalities as far as opening times and stuff. Yeah.
So, do we have to place this on the regular agenda? Or can we put it on consent? Okay, we haven't fielded too many of these in the past. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Okay, we'll place that on the consent agenda. Okay, next up is item number 9, the mayoral reappointment to the Fire and Police Commission. Currently, Mr. Eric Agnew serves on the Police and Fire Commission. His term is expiring. I've spoke with him. He would like to do another 3-year term, and that request is before you for consideration. Place it on the regular agenda. Mr. Bateman, any question? I think it's an appointment. It has to go on the regular. Yeah. Okay. Everybody is okay with that? Okay. Next up is item number 10, the mayoral appointment to the Economic Development Commission. If you look in your packet, you will see that the request is for Ms. Johnny Tibbs to serve on that commission. Ms. McClellan stepped down, as you may know. It's been about a month, I believe. And so we have an opening. I spoke with Ms. Tibbs. She's really looking to get involved again and participate. And so I asked her if that's something she would be interested in, and she said yes, if the council would have her. So I bring that before you for consideration. Ms. Rolfs?
So then we would not have 2 council people.
Correct.
Do we need 2 council people?
There is no requirement for 2
I don't need a
council
backup?
members. No, yeah.
What?
It only stipulates the number
Oh,
of
I've talked with
members.
Mrs. Tibbs already.
Yeah, it doesn't stipulate the balance of aldermanic positions.
That's
Mr.
fine.
Downs, did you have your hand up?
No, I think I was gonna ask if it could go on the consent agenda, but you guys already answered that.
Mr. Reimer?
I'd like to be considered for the position.
Okay. Okay. So that would be up to the council. So then it sounds like we would have to have 2 votes next week, correct? Huh? Yeah, there's only 1 position available on that commission, as far as I understand.
Right. Was it 11 that we set it for? And how many do we have on there right now?
It's
9? 8.
Yeah.
I am.
Yes. Yeah, everybody on that one is a voting member. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are, according to the boards and commissions page, there are 10 members and there are no set terms. So that board consists of myself, Mr. Mammon, John Mammon, Charles Conzo, Wes Woodhull, John Hoblet, Wanda Lee Rolfs, Robin McClellan, which now that seat's vacant, Sonny Alexander, Eileen Mullins, and Ashley Matoko. That's 10. If I take Robin off, that leaves 1 vacancy, which is the request to fill that position. But Mr. Eimer has expressed an interest as well. I would be fine with either appointment, so I would leave it up to the council to decide who they feel should be on there. Mr. Hoblet, you may.
So in 2021, this was originally set up with 9 members. And then I believe you guys passed an amendment to that commission, and which allowed it to have up to 11 members.
So then there you go.
Yeah.
There's 2 positions.
Yep.
Yeah, we could put them both on there. We have to fill the vacancies if in fact, so this page is clearly not updated. I do this, I help with that, so it was not a jab, I'm sorry, Ms. Bateman. We all have a lot of responsibilities. Okay, so place Ms. Tibbs and Mr. Eimer on the consent agenda for next week?
And we can do both.
Or the regular agenda, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, I see heads.
So we're voting on both of them, yes, and
As separate items.
separate item.
Yes, okay. Thank you for volunteering, Mr. Eimer. Yes, sir. Okay, next up is the mayoral appointment to the Liquor Commission. So there was, when Mr. Hofel and Mr. Zerkhammer resigned from the council, it's been quite a while. We had vacancies on there. Mr. Eimer does serve on that Liquor Commission as well as an alderman. Again, there's no requirement for a certain number of positions to be a member of the council. We have had a vacancy on there for a while, despite some requests for people to fill that. And we had a situation recently where we didn't have enough members to even hold a meeting. We lacked a quorum. And so I had talked with Mr. Zerkhammer in the past about it, but really didn't follow through. When that happened, I just reached out and asked him if that's something he's still interested in. He said yes, if the council would agree to that. So if there's no concerns, I would like to bring Tony back on the Liquor Commission to fill the vacancy.
Regular agenda.
Okay. Place item number 11 on the regular agenda. Okay, next up is item number 12, the July 4th fireworks donation. Has everybody seen the packet? Okay. We have received this request in the past from the Lincoln Park District for donation to the fireworks. We have sponsored this in the past, and I believe there's times where we haven't or haven't as much. So we received the request again this year for a match of, I believe, what we did last year, which was $5,000. And that would come from the Hotel Motel Fund under additional tourism projects. How would the council like to address this request? Support this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Regular.
Place this on the regular agenda then. Okay. Next item up is the Economic Development Commission grant approvals. If you look in the packet, and I will read these so that it is on record, so bear with me. There is, I think, about 8 on here. First up is structural improvement grants. So these are the $7,500 reimbursable grants for structural improvements. The first one was for QWE Inc. / Greg Patel at 201 Madigan Drive for entry door replacement. The amount requested was $7,500. The Grant Commission approved that amount for recommendation on April 19th in the amount of $7,500. Second grant request was Small Town Creations for 115 South Kickapoo Street. That is for the replacement of 3 windows. Amount requested $7,450. Amount approved for recommendation by the commission was $7,450 on April 19th. Next up is Prairie Land Title Company Incorporated at 507 Pulaski Street. That is for roof replacement. The amount requested $7,500. The amount recommended for approval by the commission was $7,500 on April 19th. Next is the Lincoln Community Theater at 410 Broadway Street, not to be confused with the theater. This is the Lincoln Community Theater. And that was for tuck pointing, and the amount requested of $7,500, and the amount approved for recommendation was $7,500 on April 19th. Next is item number 5 on here. That is Scott Mack and Infinity Real Estate LLC at 714 Keokuk Street for roof replacement. The amount requested was $6,840. Amount approved by the Economic Development Grant Commission for recommendation to the council was for $6,840 on April 19th. Next and last structural improvement grant request was again for Scott Mack and Infinity Real Estate LLC at 702 through 708 Keokuk Street for roof replacement. The amount requested, $7,500. The amount approved for recommendation by the commission to the council was $7,500. For clarification, we did talk about those last two because they are both the same individual. The one at 714 Keokuk Street is what we all know as the car wash that sits on the corner of Keokuk and Kickapoo. That is one building. The 702 through 708 is the building, the former Melacream, the famous liquor building, the Chinese restaurant down there. So that's the differentiator between those two buildings. Okay, next up is facade grants.
I got a question.
Mr. Parrott.
So on these grants, is it per address, per business,
Per parcel.
per address? So the 702 through 708 is more than one address.
Parcel. Yeah, we actually had a very lengthy discussion about this past week in this commission, and it's always been worded as the address, but we've had some situations come up where, like the Grisham building, that has separate addresses, but on the tax roll, it is one parcel. And so the grant commission is going to have a conversation about that, but the grant commission is leaning towards one per parcel. In most cases, it's not an issue. It's just these bigger buildings.
Because you could have multiple owners of this building, right? Or no?
You can have multiple owners of the property, but you're only eligible for one grant. It's per property, not per person.
Okay, fine. Just asking.
Yeah, it's gets a little hairy. Mr. Downs.
So I guess just for clarification, they're only getting $7,500, right? They're not getting
Correct.
seven. Okay.
Yep. Ms. Rolfs.
I think it would be great if the treasurer could go over, this is the end of the year. And these are the funds that we, as you look at it, you know, if you think about the amount of money that we just went through, but the money is already budgeted, and I'm gonna let him to address that, so if you would, please.
Before we do that, if you would allow me, we have 3 more grants on here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I thought
okay.
you were done.
No, that was just structural improvement. We got 3 facade grants.
Okay.
Any other questions about structural improvement grants? Okay. The facade grants, there are 3 of those. The first one is small town, and before we proceed, the facade grants are the 50-50 match up to $10,000. So they would have to have a project that is $20,000 to get the full $10,000, and obviously it's based on the estimates. As we move forward, you'll see those, and I'll explain them as we go down through each one of these 3, because it covers that. And it is reimbursable. Small Town Creations at 115 South Kickapoo Street, they put in a request for the tuck pointing and brick repair. The amount requested is $8,300. Due to the 50-50 match, the Economic Development Grant Commission approved a recommendation to the council for $4,150 on April 19th. Acme 007 LLC at 401 Broadway Street put in a request for tuck pointing and brick repair. Amount requested $17,000 even. The amount approved by the commission for recommendation to the council was $8,500 on April 19th. And the last one is Hild Brothers Construction and Remodeling LLC at 118 North McLean Street for exterior repairs, window door replacement. The amount requested was the full $20,000, and the amount approved by the commission for recommendation to the council was $10,000 on April 19th. Any questions on the facade grants as proposed? Okay. Mr. Conzo, would you like to give an explanation about the finances for this program?
Yeah, thank you.
If you don't
Mayor.
mind.
No, I don't. That's perfectly fine. Yes, as Alderman Rolfs pointed out, this has been in the budget this last year. We did increase the amount because we had some left over from the previous year. So we started out at $150,000, then I think we went to $171 plus, and then eventually to $178. Assuming all that work is finished, we will have used almost all of that during the current year, and that's assuming it's all finished in time to be paid out for the current year. In addition to that, the council, or the Economic Development Commission, has approved approximately another 25,000. I didn't bring that report with me, but I believe it's right around 25,000, and I can get those figures for you as well, Alderman Rolfs. But well, it'd be in the report you had received at the Economic Development Commission meeting, and that would be about another 25,000. We've got in the budget for this year 150,000. I would expect that, now that this program has gained a lot of traction and people are more aware of it, that we'll probably receive applications for all of that. Does that answer your question?
Oh, I already, but I think the rest of them should know, because, you know, they were sitting here going 7,500, 7,500, 7,500. Pretty soon you start adding that up. But the money was budgeted, and we didn't go over budget,
Right.
so.
And the facade grant was a similar type of thing as well. Very similar.
And I will probably botch it up because I don't have the report in front of me, but how much have we provided in grants to date? Do you remember that number?
I don't remember.
It's over
I'd have to-
300, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well over 300
Yeah, it's, well, slightly over 300, I think.
of ARPA funds.
ARPA funds, and prior to that, we always have had the facade grants have not been ARPA funds. And that
Correct.
continues to be the case.
Yep.
Talking
And
about the economic development grants.
yeah, and the beauty of the program is that in return for receiving the grant, as you've seen here, the owners are also putting their money in. So they get a match, then they put extra money in to do roof repairs, tuck pointing. These are all the things that are gonna keep these buildings in good shape for, you know, many years to come, which was the intent of the program. Raises property values, as we talked about earlier, with the TIF now being at least to a point where we're not taking money from general fund to cover those payments. And, you know, we're providing new places for people to rent. You know, Miss McClellan and her family opened up the meat market this past weekend, and that building has received grants among many others. And so it's such a great program, and I'm glad that the council continues to support it. I know this is a lot of money, as Ms. Rolfe said, when we go down through the list, but I think it's money well spent and in our best interest. Mr. Parrott and then Mr. Conzo.
Yeah, I had mentioned a little while back about the city maybe considering using funds to fix the roof over there, so the building, the Oasis building,
Yes.
could be used. It's a nice looking building, but there's still issues with that, and you know, at some point, you know, the city has ended up purchasing or taking possession of buildings to repurpose them to get back on the tax roll, and that building's just sitting there.
The roof, Mr. Woodhull can keep me honest, but it actually does have a roof up there, a rolled roof, and the water is draining off of it. So the last time I was in, and it's been about a year, I don't think there was water leaking in the building from the roof. It just looks weird because the roof is actually on that second floor, and then you still see the walls up there and you can see daylight through. But what was once the floor of that portion of the building is now the roof. Mr. Woodhull, anything to add to that? But I agree with you, Steve. I've talked with several people about it, and I think this is a building that if we can get it for, you know, the minimum bid for the tax rolls, which is usually around $800 if we're lucky, I think the city could take ownership of it and clean it out, the bottom, and get it to a blank canvas, and then look for somebody who wants to take that on and then, you know, do a rehab and get a tenant in there. I think that would be money well spent too. So I 100% agree with you. Mr. Eimer and then Mr. Conzo, I'll come to you.
Just on his note, who owns that building?
It's owned by the Logan County trustees. So the taxes have not been paid for the past at least 3 years, I believe. But nobody wants to buy it because of the liability that comes with it. So it's sat that way for far too long. And yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Craig, because I was watching a video that was circulating around Facebook the last couple of days of a gentleman that came to town and was doing a video shoot of our downtown. And as he went past that building, not much was said about it, but you can see all the progress that's been made with the buildings, and then you take a look at that one. It might not be super obvious to people that aren't from here, but it is to some of us. Mr. Conzo and then Mr. Bateman.
Thank you, Mayor. The other thing that people may not be aware of is they have to, when this work is done, in order to get the $7,500 or however much, in one case here it's $6,840. In order to get that money, they have to present receipts that show that the work was completed, and they have to pass appropriate building inspection as well by Superintendent Woodall.
Mr. Bateman.
I've had multiple conversations with the mayor and other people about that building, because it's downtown, which Mrs. Rolfs and I represent. I would love the council to just give a directive of trying to purchase this building and get it in our name, and then we start a conversation of what we're gonna do with it. I kicked around the idea of the high school trades, but they're not much on demolition. But if we can take possession of the building and hire a company to, as Mr. Welch said, clean it out and make it a blank canvas, then maybe the high school trades group would come in and do something with it. Or, maybe we'll just get someone interested. Someone doesn't want to do the work to clean it out, but would refurbish it after that. And I think it would be a wise investment on our part. Maybe even one of the other businesses downtown might consider purchasing it to start new if they didn't have to do all the legwork it does to buy it on a tax sale and clean it out and those kind of things.
Ms. McClellan.
Is it a secure building? I don't know what it looks like in the back, but it's.
I would let Mr. Woodhull speak to that.
It's secured. I mean, I've locked it.
You mean as far as people getting in? Or the structural integrity?
More that it doesn't become, that it's not a hazard. It's not one of the.
It's surprisingly solid, to be perfectly honest with you. Like he mentioned, the roof is technically the second floor, I guess, but exterior walls are stabilized correctly. The building is solid concrete from top to bottom. I mean, it actually is a very solid building. A lot of the damage that you would see in it is mostly due to the fire, and then the putting the fire out, water damage and whatnot. A lot of plaster on the ground, but a lot of it has been cleaned out. So
It's kind of concerned about the vagrancy and making sure that it would be locked.
I've padlocked one door that was suspect, but since then I've never had any issues with anybody been in the building.
There have been issues where people have climbed up on the back portion of that.
We've never, somehow they got up there and wrote some derogatory stuff on a wall, painted. I went up there and repainted it. But myself and one of the firemen were over there, and we could not figure out how anybody could get up. They would have had to shimmy up like a 4-inch drain pipe.
Yeah.
The other ways, we just couldn't figure out how anybody could. You can't get to it from another roof. It was, they were, whatever, cat-like to get there, but I haven't had any trouble since then by any means. That's been
Ninjas.
a while.
Yep. So, Steve, to your point, if you'd like, some members of the department heads could get together and put something together. If there's a council member that wants to be involved and work on that, I'd love to see that come forward as a topic for us to address.
We need to get it bought, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do with it.
Well, I think you need to have a plan before you buy it. Otherwise, you're stuck with a building. What I mean by that is get the finance, like how much money it would take, get an estimate, see if our budget can support it, and then move forward. Let's be real. That building's not going anywhere.
No, but when I say get it bought, I would like the city to get it bought and get it cleaned out to a blank canvas. I would hate for us to go in and do some kind of remodeling and put new walls up and then that not meet somebody else's needs. I agree with what you'd said. If we can get it bought, cleaned out, and make it's cleaned up, ready to go, it's new construction from that point forward, I think it'd be a wise investment.
Could we find out how much it would cost, and if we are able to purchase it even?
Sure.
That would be.
We can make that request.
That would be good. A good start.
Yep. Wes, is that something you can reach out to the trustees on? Okay. Yeah, we'll bring that back. thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Mr. Conzo, did you have?
No, I think I would just add about that building, we're talking about how solid that building is.
Okay.
Remember, that was a bank at one time, which
Yeah.
is a good reason why it is as solid as it is.
Okay. Any other discussion about the economic development grant approvals? Okay, so place this on the regular agenda? All of those that we just went through? Okay. Okay, next up is funding agreement between the City of Lincoln and the Logan County Regional Planning Commission. So in your packet, you will see a request for continued partnership with the Regional Planning Commission. This is a commission that Alderman Bateman and I sit on and have for quite some time. The amount is typically $15,000. Is that correct, Ms. Bateman? But it is less in this agreement. Wasn't there it hasn't always been 12.5, has it? Wasn't it 15? Wasn't there a year though that? Yeah, was it last year? Yeah. Okay. So this year resumes the full amount. This funding agreement.
In fact, right now we have a credit with them because when they stopped it,
Yeah.
we weren't aware of it, so we paid it, and so we don't actually owe anything till July if they sign it.
Okay.
And the budget reflects that reduced amount, too.
Okay, perfect. Questions or comments from the council on this?
So are they worth this amount? What do we do? What do they do for us?
So they pull us in on a variety of zoning type activities that impact the entire county. But I can tell you that they proved their worth to me when we were having many businesses come to us last year that could not get their tax, I forget what it's called, a tax document that waived the sales tax if they were in the enterprise zone. And that organization helped, in partnership, work with the county to get that matter resolved. That was huge. I mean, just one business I saw online today or yesterday, they lost $20,000 because they were unable to get that certificate. And so working with them, and it wasn't just Lincoln, there was an elevator project out in New Holland that they helped with, several businesses in town, the urgent care facility, that was one of them. There's several. So to me, that was where they proved their worth to me, because I was questioning it before as well. Mr. Bateman, your opinion about the worth of the Regional Planning Commission? Care to share?
There's a lot of times that the meetings have nothing to do with the city, but there is a lot of times where the city is the hub. So there is a worth to it, and they constantly remind us that they have money to spend to help with projects if we have any moving forward. I think it's a worthwhile cause.
Any other questions, comments? Place this on the regular agenda. All right, place item number 14 on the regular agenda. Next up's item number 15, ordinance 4-12 of the Lincoln City Code titled Solar Regulations. Mr. Woodhull.
Yeah, so I put this together over the course of a little while anyway, sent it to the council about a month ago for consideration. Basically just has to do with all solar energy systems within the city. Obviously, it's has been for some time now a large market, and Lincoln's no different. I'd say it's well in 95+% is residential, but regardless, this document covers all aspects of the systems. So any kind of photovoltaic systems throughout the city and any different aspects of them, it's all covered here. So I sent this to the attorney I think he's already put the ordinance together as far as getting it in the city code. And that's what we're asking.
Questions for Mr. Woodhull? Place this on the regular agenda. Okay, we'll place item number 15 on the regular agenda. Next up is item number 16, City Attorney John Hoblet, 4-year contract agreement. Mr. Hoblet?
Yes, so come at the end of April, my current contract has expired, is going to be expiring. I sent out a request to the council. Based upon the feedback, of your guys' feedback, I've put this contract together and proffered it to you for your discussion, potential approval. I will note that the work I do for the city of Lincoln I find to be quite rewarding. I do appreciate being your client and being your attorney. And I hope to do as such moving forth in the future. It has been a good boon to my career, and I'm very proud of the work I do for you guys and hope to continue to do as such.
Questions? Place this on the regular agenda. Mr. Bateman?
Things I have to say probably should be said in executive session.
Okay. Okay, we'll place item number 16 on the regular agenda. Next item is item number 17, discussion for the distribution of new cannabis tax revenue. Ms. O'Donohue.
So we had already discussed previously about the new cannabis tax money, using that to fund the police and fire pensions. We had the discussion brought to our attention as well that we're about $3 million behind on the police and fire pension, and that we have until 2040 to completely fund that. So my recommendation is that we use the majority of this money to fund the police and fire pension. We had also discussed giving back to the community in some form or another. So I had met with Kirsty Jackson, Kirsty Ferget, who runs the DARE program. The DARE program is funded fully just by donation. So there's no funding through the state, there's no funding through the school. It is all completely donation based, and she takes it upon herself. And there's others that help her to go and get the funding from the community. So I think we should give even 5 to 10% of this to the DARE program also.
Mr. Reimer?
Answer my question is, how much tax are we getting from this, Mr. Gonzo?
Well, I don't know yet. I know what we've, I wish I could tell you.
I don't think as much as we thought.
No, and we don't really know until we get several months behind us, but the first couple of full months were right around the $6,000 range. That may go up and it may not, but the first partial month was just a few $100s because it was 4 days, I think. And then we had like 6,200 or something around there, and then a 5,900. So far it's been about 6,000. If that continues to be the case, and I don't know that it will, that would be about $76,000 a year.
So from now
But-
to 2040, can we make up that difference on the
It
pensions we got to take care of?
Yeah, you're right, and
that's a,
and-
I mean, I'm all for the DARE and all that, don't get me wrong, but we owe it to our city police and fire. And we've got to put the majority of it there, and that's why I was trying to see if you had any idea, can we make it by, didn't you say, Ms. O'Donohue, 2040?
Yeah, I think we're not going to make it strictly based on this cannabis sales tax, but it's like one of the bricks in building that up. So I think it's a wise decision to put most of it toward that, if not, and I think reserving some for DARE is a good idea too. But I don't, this isn't going to be a solution in and of itself, is what I'm trying to say.
Would that be an accurate figure then, the 3 million we're behind? Is that inaccurate?
That's close. I mean, it varies because you get the different actuarial
besides the cannabis, what else is that general fund that we use to?
Well, we use part of the utility tax goes into it, part of the PPRT goes into that, and that's by law, because that was set in 1976 when the property tax was abolished and replaced with the PPRT. And then what we've done every year, also in the last several years, is we've had general fund transfers from the general fund to the police pension fund and the fire pension fund to supplement those other sources of revenue. And then this is real important because the participants in that fund, the police officers, firemen, firefighters, pay into it as well.
Right.
A substantial amount. into
This
it.
$3 million is a liability to the city, so we need
It's an
to-
unfunded liability.
Yeah. So the council, in my opinion, we should do the best we can, aggressively tackle that problem over the next years and not take it lightly. That's my opinion.
I should have added to that too, property tax, substantial part of our property tax does go to that.
Mr.
And we
Conzo.
were able to, we were able to increase that, as you may recall, in December. Our IMRF contribution now is less than it used to be. And as a result of that, we were able to lower the levy for that. And so we shifted that over into the police and
And
fire.
we're not having no trouble with the IMRF benefit.
No.
Okay.
The reason it was so high for so long is in about 2008 or 9, they passed a early retirement incentive. And, you know, there was good reasons for it at the time, and part of, you know, because they were, you know, getting near the bottom of that general fund to pay salaries with. So this provided a lot of relief for that, enabled to reduce the payroll costs. But when you do that, you pay for it on the other end. It's just spread out over a longer period of time. So our IMRF contribution was very high following those years, and it has come down over the years finally.
Okay. Thank you for the information. I just think we should urge to, if the street department's good to go, then we need to make the other two departments good to go the best we can. And hopefully everybody will keep that in mind. Thank you.
Mr. Conzo, before we move on, can you speak to the request that I've made to you, you've been working on regarding pensions, please?
Yes. What the mayor and I have talked about, and his idea was to try to get a projection of what we would need to contribute each year for the next several years to be fully funded by 2040, or to be 90% funded and to be 100% funded. And so we've got proposals to do that. They're going to cost right around $3,000 for each fund to do it, but I think it's well worth it. And I think one was 25 and the other was just over 3, wasn't it? Yeah. And from 2 different companies, because they have dealt with these pension funds, a different one with the police and the fire that have done the pension administration. So if they do that, they'll come back with schedules for that. They will do that, and they'll come back with schedules for us, which would show what we would need to be able to provide to reach those goals. I would expect we'll have it within the next 60 days, if not sooner.
Okay. Once again, I think we should seriously look at that as a council, in my opinion. I think you're right. Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came from when we were talking about the tax levy. That's where this actual topic spawned from, was foregoing the tax levy and letting the cannabis tax fill that gap with pensions. And, we knew it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we need to fund those pensions. And, Mr. Rowland and Mr. Sharon came up and they gave us the reports, which I thought were great, about just how short we are. But I don't, because I've sat up here a number of years with some of you as well, and we have that same discussion every year, and we just have the discussion, then we move on. And I thought, if we could put a schedule in place that's in front of us every year that we know we should probably be budgeting or trying to budget for, then it helps keep it in front of us. And, if we slip, then shame on us. But exactly.
I mean, you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
And then we don't get behind again. Let's get it where it needs to be. These are good
Yep.
employees, and that's the promise to them as employees, that they got a pension, so
Yep.
we need to take care of them.
Agreed. So Ms. O'Donnell, I'm sorry. Mr. Downs had a question, and then Mr. Bateman, and then Ms. Rolfs.
Craig kind of asked my question. Rhonda had stated she was in favor of giving a percentage to DARE. It's just hard for me to commit to a percentage if I don't know how big of a number we're looking at. So Craig kind of answered or asked that question, but I mean, I'm all in favor of giving to DARE. That's an excellent thing, but I would rather give like a flat amount to DARE and then have the whole cannabis thing go to the pensions. And in my eyes, that's just cleaner. But I mean, I think that we can negotiate this and come to a solution.
So are you proposing that we fund DARE outside of this cannabis tax? Or as part of it?
I'm not opposed to
Yeah.
that. I mean,
We would have to talk about budget amendment because, which we've talked about before.
Just on that, with Sam, I mean, I know DARE, but it was mentioned that, you know, they run on donations, but, you know, what are their costs? What are their total costs? What do they purchase? You know, what does the money go toward? What would it be going towards specifically other than just saying DARE? I don't
That
know.
was kind of my,
Deputy Chief Comstock, could you speak to that?
I can't speak.
I could try, but I'd butcher it up.
I can't speak specifically to what the DARE officers' costs are for everything that they do throughout the year. I know a lot of it goes into the teaching supplies and things for the kids. I know Christy does a whole lot of work with fundraising and bringing that money in to pay for all of that stuff. She's worked very hard on it. If I could get with her, I could probably put together what her costs are for the year. And I know that could vary depending on what projects she has plans and how many students she has in that particular grade for the year and all the teaching that has to be done. But
Is it drug related or is it just like school supplies? Because I'd be more in favor of drug related type stuff, but if it's just like school supplies and those types of things,
it's not.
I'd rather see the funds go, you know.
It's not school supplies. When she teaches the class, there are supplies for teaching that specific class. There's books and handouts and stuff like that.
So she teaches classes.
Yes.
Okay.
She teaches. Officer or Corporal Collins teaches. Sergeant Pettit teaches. Detective Eimer's also a teacher. They all take turns going around and teaching the DARE class throughout all of District 27. So there's a lot that goes into it that they do that is never seen. She does a big pizza party for them at the end of the year, which is coming up at the Park District.
They do the baseball game every year.
She still does the baseball game where takes all the kids to the Peoria Chiefs game.
Can you mention the training, like the one that I witnessed where other DARE officers come in and receive their training from us because of the caliber of our program?
Yes, she teaches a 2-week-long DARE instructor school where she teaches other instructors from all over the country come and learn to teach from her and other mentors in that program. They do stay in our hotels and eat food here and do all that stuff. So it's a great program, but there's so much to it that I could probably sit here and talk for an hour.
Because even outside of the school, she does things on the weekends for if there's a kids event going on, if there's
Yes.
a fishing derby, then she'll provide lunch for
We-
them. And so
We cook at the fishing derby. We cook at the Wells. Wells does a youth hunter safety thing. We go and cook at those events. It's just if somebody wants us to come out and cook for kids, she makes it happen. You know, and much on her own time and at her own
cost. And it's
sometimes
officer
her own cost,
engagement,
I'm
too.
sure. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay, we got a list going. Mr. Bateman, Ms. Rolfs, and then Ms. McClellan.
Mr. Treasurer, isn't there 2 lines in the budget for cannabis? Don't we receive money from the state
Yes.
and receive money, sales tax money from the local dispensary?
Yes, the first one is a cannabis use tax that's distributed statewide, even to places that don't have cannabis dispensaries. We were getting that revenue stream before.
So where are we putting that money?
That goes into the general fund, but it's to be used for law enforcement purposes.
Okay, because I was considering, can we change that and make both taxes go to pensions, but no?
No, that one's regulated by the state statutes.
So I do know DARE does quite a bit, and they run solely on donations. You know, the pensions are important, but I think DARE is important because that's the youth of this city. So I kind of like the proposal of a 90-10. I'd even go like we do tourism, 95-5. That would be $300 a month to DARE. which I know would be put to a good use. That's what we do with tourism right now. So, you know, I think that's a good plan. And it'd be money very well spent.
Ms. Rolfs?
My question was, would it be possible for Christy to come up and to give us a little bit of a view of what she does and some of the programs that she does work in? I know I belong to an organization where she's talked before, and it's very interesting. I think not only for the council, but it would be good for the community who watched to see what the DARE program does and maybe market it a little bit. Could she do that?
Yeah, I could talk with her about doing that. I'd hate to volunteer a specific time or date for her, but her and I can sit down. We can discuss getting something put together. Maybe even the other DARE officers coming up too.
Mr. Downs, or no, I'm sorry, Ms. McClellan, then Mr. Downs.
You were saying that they teach classes. Do you know what they teach the classes, what the subject of the classes are, or?
It's the DARE curriculum, so forgive me, I'm not a DARE instructor, but it doesn't focus so much around just drugs and alcohol anymore. It touches on violence and bullying and a lot of things that just that kids deal with through their teenage years and as they grow up.
Mr. Downs?
It wasn't real important. I was just gonna throw out that if the statewide cannabis tax revenue, if that's already dedicated to go towards law enforcement, could that, like, DARE's a part of law enforcement, right? Like, could that money go from there? To me, that just seems cleaner. If it could come out of that fund, I'd be more comfortable, assuming that's not going to step on law enforcement toes, or whatever.
It's just, you'll have to shift the budget because that tax money's already been accounted for other purposes within the department.
Okay, well, I don't want to do that then. Okay, I was just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay. Mr. Barrett?
Just one thing. It'd be nice to know what their budget is on these donations, how much they get per year, you know, what their expenses are. That would be kind of nice to know because that could kind of dictate how much we would, you know, provide out of our funds.
I don't think it's more than $3,000 to $5,000. It's all donations, but I could be completely off. I've talked with Christy a couple times about it. Am I off?
If I gave you a guess, it would be wrong. So
that's kind of what
that's something I would have to
given
talk
them
with
out,
her
but
about. Yeah,
yeah.
But it is all donations and
Yeah, I don't think you can spend enough on that.
Well, and that's where the idea came. I don't want to steal your thunder. You go. I mean, that's where the idea came from, was this money is generated through the sale of cannabis. And it makes sense that if we're going to take in that revenue, that we at least give a little bit of that money back towards drug awareness and things of that nature. And starting, you know, that awareness at a young age is important. Those people then grow up and they have that mentality. I mean, we can't control everything, but the DARE program, I sat down through that program a couple times during my time as mayor, and the training officers that come in there alone have nothing but good things to say. They come to town, stay in the hotels. They're here for the entire 2 weeks. Such a great program. Mr. Downs and Ms. Rolfs.
All right, this is the last time I'll talk. Okay, so if we're gonna fund the DARE stuff through the cannabis funds, which is fine, I totally do understand that. Is there another way that we can generate more funds through alcohol, tobacco, gambling, like just so the all of DARE doesn't fall just on cannabis when they're all just as bad?
I suppose that the council could.
I would like to look into that.
Unless there's a state statute that prohibits it, I imagine that you could look at each one of those revenue streams and use a portion of that towards drug and alcohol awareness and other substance abuse. Mr. Conzo, am I wrong?
I suppose we could look at it. I'm not
But-
well versed on what the statutes are, and I would defer to the
But again,
attorney on that. I mean, you can certainly contribute general fund money toward it. It's just a matter of, you know, if you do that, you know, you're gonna do something to the other side of the equation too, because you're gonna have to.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah.
Well, it could be, you know, I mean, that's why I think it was Alderman Parrott who brought it up. It would be a good idea to know more about the program and what their funding capabilities are at this point in time.
I get where you're coming from with the question. I think the proposal that was presented from Ms. O'Donohue, which I think is a great proposal, is that this is money that's not earmarked for anything. So it gives us a lot more flexibility to determine where we're at on it. And we can get more information from Christie on that program to get a gauge on how much they really need to keep the program running, which I think is amazing that we have one of the best DARE programs in the country that people come here for, and it is completely funded through donations.
They have quite a big outing, don't they?
Ms. Rolfs and then Mr. Bateman.
From some of the information I've looked at, when DARE was started, it was basically a motto of just say no. But today it's changed. They've got it, what they call the new DARE program, and it's keeping it going. And so the focus has changed just a little bit, and I think that's why I think it would be interesting to have her, you know, talk about how it's changed to be more relevant to the people that are involved, which are the students.
Mr. Bateman.
So for voting purposes, can we put on next week's agenda that 95% of the cannabis tax will go to pensions, and then we'll determine the other 5% later?
Why don't we wait till we hear from Christie before we make a set decision on what we give? Should we do that?
The council can do whatever
I
they
mean,
see
I
fit.
think let's get all the facts before we start.
I thought you wanted to fund pensions.
We can always
I
change
do
the
want to fund pensions,
appropriation
but let's
times,
get
couldn't
the
we?
numbers.
Okay, Ms. Rolfs. Ms. Rolfs, did you have something?
Well, you know, we don't know whether to do a set amount or a percentage because we don't know what the big figure is going to be here. If we set a figure, which is it easier to do? If we wanted to change it during appropriations to be more than what we've established?
Well, by the time we do the appropriations, you'll know more about what this revenue stream will generate. So yes, that would be the case. And then it would be appropriate also to amend the budget at that point in time to reflect that, as well as to put it in.
I think if we could do that, that kind of answers our question about, okay, let's go ahead and say we want X amount and then look at appropriations.
Mr. Parrott.
Go more, we would.
Yeah, the schools aren't putting any money into these programs because I know that by school code, they are to teach, you know, these specific things to students. So I think the schools should also have some skin in the game on this as well. But I know that I've emailed you and you emailed me back in regards to, probably all of you received these emails about putting their addiction resources on our website, and we have those already on there, a few of them on there. But yeah, you're absolutely correct with DARE getting to these kids as early as possible with just not just addictions, as Sam was saying, to drugs, but also, you know, alcohol, gambling, and such. And more reports are coming out now in regards to cannabis. I don't know if you've seen it, but the psychosis of individuals is just staggering, you know, what they're coming out with in regards to the danger of cannabis and its use. So the more we can get to these kids at an early age, because what they see their parents do, they will do in excess, guaranteed.
Ms. McClellan and then Mr. Bateman.
It sounds like she spends an awful lot of time fundraising, and if we could get her free from the fundraising and back in the classroom, I mean, it seems to me if as much as we could fund her so that she doesn't have to fundraise would be the optimum thing to me. I don't know how that would be because we don't really know what her budget is, but it's like when you know, that's lost time with the kids for her if she's fundraising. So I would, you know, fully funding her would be the optimum thing. But
Mr. Bateman.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. There's people sitting here that keep saying, well, let's see how much money she brings in, or let's see what her program costs. I don't care how much money she brings in. I don't care what her program costs. if we can give her more money to expand that program, that's what's more important to me. I agree. If we can fund her, you know, if she's doing great on whatever dollar amount she is, and we're one of the gold standards for DARE, imagine if she just had more money, what she could accomplish or do. Why do we keep asking people, well, how much do you spend now? Well, I can't expand unless you have more funds. We keep asking, what do you spend now? And it's like, we're gonna make our determination, hey, you put on a great event for 5,000, but we don't wanna give you extra money because now you're putting on a great event. We're hamstringing people.
Okay.
It's not like she can go out and sell more widgets to bring in more money.
I have, and I'll put you on this. I have a proposal that we can put it on the agenda and then still have time to get that number from Christie. And then we can come back, and if we get it in time before the agenda goes out, then we'll know what that amount is. So fund DARE to what that amount is that she's fundraising now, and then the rest towards pensions. That's a proposal to keep this moving, because I also want to be conscious of the fact that Ms. O'Donoghue's put in a lot of time on this and ran with it and met with a lot of people. So I don't want this to fall off the radar. Mr. Reimer.
Well, I just want to say, I'm not against funding it, but we just don't open a checkbook of our city tax dollars and say, well, let's just do this and do that. That's not what we're here for. So we have to be responsible. All I was trying to say is we need to gather the information as much as we can. I'm sure Chrissy will come up here and talk to us. Give us the details of where everything is going, and then we can see how much we can help her out. I mean, it's not an open checkbook. You just write checks and fund there. I mean, if we got it, we got it, yes. But we got to be responsible. This is city dollars. So,
Ms. O'Donoghue, thoughts? Since this is your topic.
I mean, my thought is sorry, thank you. My thought is we're not funding. I mean, I feel like everyone's sitting here talking about we're going to fund the whole program for her. It is an amazing program, and she does an amazing job with it. It affects every single child in this community. Every child at every school goes through this program. So I think we need to, one, stop looking at it as funds, and we need to start looking at it as children and their children's education. I don't care what Christie's budget is. I think the more that we can provide for them, the better it is for her, the better it is for our children. So I'm for 95.5, I'm for 90-10.
At this point, something is better than nothing that she's currently getting in the program. I think John might have to do a resolution on this one to document the vote and the intention of the funds, or the intention of the council.
I could certainly create a resolution to that effect.
Okay, so thoughts on, I know there's a difference of opinion. Ms. McClellan.
I was just wondering, just doing the math, whether 10% of, or 5% of, what did you say, $6,000 a month? How would that affect her budget? I mean, we don't know what her budget is, but, 5%'s, which he said it might be 3,000, she might spend about $3,000. Maybe. He's guessing, sorry.
Okay.
Once again, why don't
Still,
we get Christie up here and get the details?
I still think it
and
would be
then
good
we'll
to
vote?
know,
I mean, I
what
think
she
that's
spends.
Well, I think we have to at least have something to put in the resolution as a starting point. It can be changed. We've amended things
I'm
before.
not for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say not give her nothing, but let's get more. We don't have the correct information yet.
Okay, so for the sake of keeping the topic moving along and getting it on the agenda, can we take Mrs. O'Donoghue's recommendation and do you give us a number, 90-10 or 95-5 as a starting point. Everybody think about it. We'll get Christie up here if she's available. And then we can change that if we decide to. Is everybody okay with that? I see your hand.
We can up it after we talk to her, right?
You can amend it however you'd like.
That's all I'm saying. Let's just get
Okay.
the information.
Mr. Conzo?
I would just add to that, and this is how I had budgeted. That doesn't mean you have to conform to that, but what we did in the with the committee when we talked about this was, I think it was 85% of what we anticipated, which is probably going to vary because we don't know what we're going to get, but was 55% for fire and 45% for police, and that was only because fire pension is more underfunded than the police pension is. It's up to the council whether you want to do it that way. That's what we have done with the utility tax. We've split it in that proportion.
But at 55-45, that doesn't leave anything for the program.
No,
Their program.
you take the 90 or the 95 or whatever.
Oh, the percentage of the
percentage
95.
that's designated for pensions.
Gotcha.
And split and divide that 55-45.
Okay.
Not the other.
So do you think that we should clarify that as part of the 95% as well? Yeah, that's why I asked.
Yeah, that's why I brought
So of the 95%, it sounds like those of you on the budget committee looked at 55 for police, 45 for fire.
We did.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
55 for fire and
55 for fire, 45. Okay.
for police.
So do you got that?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll place this on the regular agenda with those. Be thinking about it, we can modify it. Deputy Chief?
So I don't want to throw a curveball in this.
Oh, no.
Dare, because I don't know what the funds are, it's because it's a separate account. It's all overseen by Christie. It is not part of law enforcement. It's never been a part of the Lincoln Police Department. It's all been its own private entity. She might even be her own nonprofit. I don't know. So that may change how you contribute. If so much has to go to law enforcement and the revision wants to come through the police department and then we earmark a line item for DARE, that may be the direction it has to go. But until I have all that information, it does create probably a legal curveball.
Yeah, I think in speaking with Chief Meister, there are a number of other programs that the police sponsors. So it would make sense to put this in the police budget, and then that would be a police sponsorship of the DARE program. Correct. That makes sense, and it would be clean. Mr. Bateman, did you have something?
No, I mean, the one cannabis tax has to be going to the law enforcement.
Correct.
If this portion has to go to law enforcement, then that's how we should word it. The city attorney should find out if this tax can be spent how we want. The city council could technically write the check to the DARE program if it can be separated. As long as the amount that we set forward goes to DARE, I don't care how it goes, but we already knew that the one cannabis use tax must be used for law enforcement.
Correct.
But there are no such restrictions on the cannabis sales tax.
Correct. That's why I was saying if there's no restriction on cannabis sales tax, then the council could quarterly or whenever just write Christie's account, DARE account, a check
5%.
instead of it going through the law enforcement cogs.
However, the clerk's office decides is best to disperse that money. Okay. Anything else on this topic? Ms. O'Donohue, thanks for putting the time in on that one. Okay. That brings us down to announcements. I'm going to read off some announcements and I'll open it up to you. We got several ribbon cuts and things going on. Ribbon cut Wednesday, tomorrow, the CEO trade show it starts at 4:30 for the ribbon cut, and then they will be doing the trade show to follow. If you'd like to see what those young adults have put together for their programs, that's at 4:30 at the American Legion. Next up is Thursday, 4:25. This is the OSF Women's Health Facility. It's at the same place as the urgent care at the opposite end of that building. It's technically called the OSF Medical Group Obstetrics and Gynecology Department. That is at 11:30 a.m. Thursday at 602 Woodlawn. Bless you. And then There are two on Saturday. Saturday, 4/27, they are opening up, or doing a ribbon cut for Prairie Threads. If you haven't heard of it, this is a men's clothing store. And it is at 10 a.m. at 514 Pekin Street. Yeah, this is the building that was formerly the B on Pekin Street, where the VW van used to sit out in front of. So this is the Welch's. And then Saturday, 4/27, the Beverage Genie is opening up, doing a ribbon cut, and that is at noon at 1308 Woodlawn Road, and that is next to the Dollar Tree. And then I also had on here the tree planting ceremony. Mr. Landers, you want to make mention of that one since that's your baby?
That's was intending to do. The city of Lincoln has been recognized for the 23rd straight year as a Tree City community, Tree City USA community. To celebrate, we're going to have a tree planting ceremony Thursday at 10 o'clock at Central School at 107th Street. We've moved it to Thursday instead of Friday because the weather's not looking too great on Friday, so hopefully it'll be a little drier for us on Thursday. But that's Thursday at 10 o'clock at Central School.
Mr. Woodall.
Yeah, just the electronic recycling program's still going on this week at the Municipal Services Building at 313 Limit. Tomorrow will be from 8 to 7, and then Thursday and Friday again from 8 to 2. So far, we've had a good response as usual, so bring out your stuff.
And then the spring cleanup, that's May, what is that date again?
May 18th.
May 18th.
That's from 8 to 4.
And I believe information's already out on the city website for that one, correct?
I believe she
Or on
did
the
post-
Facebook page?
She did post that, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's all I had. Any other announcements? Okay, if there are no other announcements, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Eimer made the motion. Alderwoman McClellan second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? This meeting is adjourned at 7:47 p.m.